Thank you. Good morning and a warm welcome to the dignitaries, fellow colleagues and participants. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Anand Shoudia, Director,
Namaste.
Technology and Innovation, Praveen Masalawale. Mr. Shoudia is a mentor at the Center for Innovation, Incubation, Enterprise at Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Mr. Shoudia is a farmer, entrepreneur, agripreneur, visionary, motivational speaker, and a mentor. He is also a founder of the Eco Factory Foundation, an NGO with a vision to provide sustainable lifestyle solutions to rural and urban communities. He has also been awarded with the Rajiv Gandhi Quality Award 2008 at the AIFPA's President's Special Award for the year 2014. Furthermore, he is awarded with Jayantrao Tilak Award 2017, the highest recognition given by the Pune Municipal Corporation for exceptional contribution towards the environment. Mr. Shoudia received the Entrepreneurial Excellence Award 2018 by Amit University, the Young Entrepreneur Award 2016 presented by AFST Delhi, also the International Taste and Quality Institute Award, Belgium. Mr. Shoudia.
Arun, you have muted yourself.
Just got, I think, by mistake happened.
Should I start from the first one?
No, start.
No, it just
about half a second probably you will mute.
Okay, sorry. Mr. Shoudia is a member of the Research Council of the prestigious CSIR Institute at Jorat, Lucknow, and Palampur. With closer relevance to our industry, Mr. Shoudia is a chairman, Food Processing Industry, Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. He is also a member of the Industrial Advisory Board of National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management. Mr. Shoudia has been invited as an influential speaker at TEDx Pune 2019 to share his experience on sustainability through circular economy. He has also been a key speaker at Mahavir's 2020, a flagship conference of GMFB Global in Dubai. Mr. Shoudia is a strong believer in be the change you want to see in the world. We eagerly look forward to hear from the master of the game. Over to you, Mr. Shoudia. Thank you.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. I just asked Milinji a while ago that what you all want me to share on this platform today, and it was more about the journey. So it's a storytelling which I love to do anyways, because it's what been happening in my life and around, and we are actually third generation food entrepreneurs. Earlier we were more of masala walas, but now we are actually a food solution company, a global company, and giving a lot of food solutions through brand Suhana, Praveen and Ambari. As I said, we are third generation. My grandfather and grandmother started this business with very humble beginnings. Grandmother actually formulated initial products, and grandfather actually used to cycle around and sell those products in Pune, in small lane, Ghorpadi Pet area in Pune. That's how the business started. And before that business, there were more than 10, 15 failures they had faced. But still they were very clear and determined about that they want to become an entrepreneur. They were very clear. My grandfather was very clear that I'll do business and I'll do it successfully. And that passion, and that they had that passion and some purpose behind what they were doing, and they could achieve doing it correctly, which journey for them, for all of us, kept unfolding since then. 1962, the work got started. Then brand was not there. There was no concept of having any logo or slogan and stuff like that. They just made and they sold, and they used to fold it in the newspaper uh, and sell it like a. They make those small puddies with tied up with a thread, and slowly, because the fragrance of what they made used to go around, and Pune was that time like a small city. Everyone realized in no time that there is something special happening in this house, and they sell something very interesting here. So that's how people started coming, and then the house became factory, the house became a retail store, the house became office and everything. And then it started, like I said, 5 kilos of making this blend called Kanda Lasun Masala, which is a flagship product of ours. And today we sell more than 25,000 kilo of the same spice mix per day. So this is how the journey is. And in the journey, there has been a lot of learnings. Then second generation joined, then third generation joined. I joined business in 2002 when we had around 25 odd products. And since then till now, we serve almost 200 food products to around 23 countries in the world, and 9 states of India. We are actively marketing our products to. Uh, with the I mean, it's very easy to tell these numbers now. There has been a lot of difficulties, lot of failures, a lot of challenges as entrepreneur. They were not only technical challenges; some were related to uh, understanding of proper licensing, laws, labors, getting right raw material, producing safe food for people. The technology was not always easy to get in Indian context. The products, traditional Indian products made, sometimes are very complicated. So there is a lot of customization in technology is required. Agriculture is not very standardized that we can get very clean standard raw material. So all these problems during the scale up were faced, and we still face it constantly, and we somehow figure out how to move on positively, making sure that we bring in sustainable solutions to business and grow. To me personally, if I'm talking about, let me share, because you all come maybe from hospitality background, and there is whole new area of entrepreneurship is what you are exploring today. So to me, there are few things an entrepreneur really needs to have as a quality inbuilt in him or her. One is the courage to take risk in life. I mean, and not to be really worried about failures and what will happen then. And half of our time really goes in that what will happen then, whether I'm going to be successful in this thing or not. Uh, so, and mind keeps playing its tricks of having a conversation with ourselves on many times on negative tone, also sometimes on positive. But the entrepreneur is determined, and as I said earlier, if there is a strong passion and some purpose which is driving you, I think nothing really can stop. And that's what entrepreneur is about. They just want to do something, focus on that, and keep trying hard to achieve that and more. This is many times when I've been interacting in current times with other young generation, there is a lot of sense of fear to failure. So it's something like there is no immunity um, for failures which we are building. But when we see many case studies, and for us, we were fortunate to see and take that inspiration from my grandfather and grandmother, that in spite of so many failures in life, like serious ones, uh, they still were very much determined and never bogged down or had a feeling that अब नहीं हो सकता है, अब छोड़ देंगे, बस हो गया ये करना. No, they were there all the time, creating, trying out new things. So this is one of my biggest learnings, which I also try to constantly adopt and uh, uplift my soul and energy to work better and deliver better every day. That, and there are smaller or bigger failures as well in that. Second thing I realized after joining business and actually during my master's postgrad studies, which I did in New Zealand, Auckland, food technology, that there is less time, and we don't realize the importance of time in when we are studying, or we are going through our academic education. That way, education process or learning process does not stop ever. It is ongoing process. To me, it is ongoing now. It's an attitude one needs to build to observe things around, to observe happenings around, and learn from situations, people, etc., and keep trying to uh, upgrade our own self all the time to the next level. Like in this new normal, I say that I have found new me also. So much of learning, so much of introspection, so much of work on the self has happened, and I really feel that journey becomes absolutely joyous and challenging, and the challenge is with the self to become a better self. So it's a beautiful thing. So I was saying that the time, we never realize that it's so important. Later on in life, when you have joined your professional careers, whether you're doing business or whether you're, working somewhere, you realize, oh, there was so much more to learn. And that point of time, you realize, I have no time to actually do it, but I wish to do it. So the one small suggestion out of my own experience is that do not let your time be wasted. Even though now it's lockdown, you're learning online, now make sure you're utilizing that time for the best possible skills which you want to achieve, whether they are academic, whether they are for business, whether they are for your hobbies or whatever. And what I have realized in last 16 years of my business tenure so far is, if your intentions are right, you you just find that entire universe is coming together to work for you. So आपने कभी कुछ सीखा है, तब probably you have not realized where this will be used, how important this is, but somewhere on the path it just works out to be, wow, great, I did that thing, and because of that I'm able to do what I'm able to do today. Second very important thing I personally feel is of key importance as the world is changing towards that, is making optimum use of digitalization and source of information which is available to you all at the tip of your fingers. And it's really up to us that how you want to utilize that information. Otherwise, ऐसे ही दिन जाने वाले हैं, और we will have no clue where we are moving ahead. So a very strong urge that definitely we must figure out what is passion and purpose I want to have for my life. And it's okay, and it's perfectly fine that it's not clear and we don't know about it, but it's not correct to let go on that thought. It's perfect to then keep figuring out what it is, what I want to do, how I want to look at things. So I'm going back to this Suhana case study. So then we started increasing number of products, and then the plastic was invented that time. No, first after newspaper, those khaki papers were invented to pack food products. Then we started doing that. Then grandfather, grandmother also realized that a lot of people are trying to copy and the product is not really up to the mark. So they created a concept of chap, and that's how Ambari chap came into picture, which was an identity given by them to our product, that this is coming from this place. And then plastic came, so they converted into packaged, started packaging our products into plastic. And then later on, industrial revolution has happened and automation has come and packaging machines have come, and food industry suddenly has got evolved to a very big gamut of entire ecosystem for India. The very reason that has happened because our domestic in-house market is also extremely uh, large. We are one of the largest marketplace in the world. So if you're doing something good, clean food, tasty food, always there will be a lot of market to that. We then launched our pickles, and then we moved on to curry pastes and now instant mixes. And very recently, a few years back, I launched product called this kappa poha, kappa misal. And that simply strike to me out of our one of our family trips when we were traveling, and my wife telling me, Anand, you are not making something for kids. When we travel outside, we are tired of eating food which is not ours, which is not simple, it's too heavy on them. And that strike a chord that, like, if there is something like kappa noodles, why can't we do something which is more healthy, more tasty, more uh, Indian, more me to taste? And that's how the whole kappa poha came up in the mind. And then sky was the limit once we understood how to do the product, how to deliver with the right technology, right packaging. uh, and of course there has been a lot of work constantly happening on branding and marketing as well. So it's a combination. Making a product successful is not only about designing a product in kitchen. You also should have passion to sell and market the product well, talk about your product well, talk about yourself well. So both things are required. Many times a lot of very strong technical people, they may not be able to convert their actions into some sort of communication. But as an entrepreneur, you need to be a great blend of both. As a brand, you need to be a great blend of both. So any one of you thinking or planning to get into restaurant business or making some food product business, always remember that it's a very delicate mix of everything, correct? It's like our Indian food, that pinch of salt and some spices and the right tadka, everything is required to make sure that the dish turns out to be a tasty. And same way the business is like that. It needs to be, and finally the presentation of the dish is also important in that case. Same way it happens with the businesses. You need to make everything right. And it's, as I said, it's fine, some things go wrong, learn from it and correct them and move ahead. Again, in this terms, there is this whole new normal thing which is now getting merged due to the coronavirus. And if there are any existing businessmen, businesswomen, entrepreneurs listening to this, uh, of course, there is a entire different strategy we need to build, because the world definitely will change after this. The customers will definitely change after this. They want to know, if we talk about food processing industry, they definitely want to know from where the food is coming, whether the food is healthy or not, whether it is processed very hygienically or not. So in kitchen, how many times in earlier days the kitchen was not seen, and many great restaurants in world came up with a kitchen which was completely transparent and you could see through the kitchen and understand, oh wow, that's a nice kitchen and they do great stuff. Same way in processing industry or any industry, transparency will be required. It needs to be communicated, it needs to be built in customer mind. That's where the loyalty for the brand, for the company, will be built by customers. And there needs to be even urge to do a fair trade with farmers, with traders, how we can even uplift the farming ecosystem by doing business, that also needs to be looked at. And that's how our foundation, the Eco Factory Foundation, has merged, where we've trained more than 10,000 farmers so far for organic and natural farming, so that the food produced by our farmers for our people in our country is going to be healthy. And that food I treat as food will be like medicine, and that medicine will be like food. It's going to be so healthy if we produce clean food in India. And that's what we serve to our customers. That's what we process and give to our community. That's where a big change will be seen. So far, consumers were not so much aware, but times ahead, they will be aware and they will want to know keenly. And whichever companies do this efficiently, they definitely will have growth prospects. So if you're a restaurant, also you need to communicate certain things clearly. And many these sustainable organic restaurants, which I have been seeing on the Netflix series, is also, I've seen that a lot of them grow their own food. A lot of them have tie up with some farms where certain things are grown, and they source some things very peculiarly. So all that will matter a lot, a lot. And keep that in mind. As I said, use those resources. This whole online food delivery is growing. You will not believe that we thought that selling masalas online शायद नहीं होगा, लोग कहाँ से मसाले वसाले online लेंगे. But in last 2 years, our online sales are growing in leaps and bounds, and that suggests that the trend of going online and buying stuff for anything and everything is increasing. Of course, electronic has been the first choice to go online, compare prices, offers, varieties, etc. But now even fabrics, apparels, everything is online and bought online. To that matter, the technology has influenced younger generation faster than it influenced us. So that's a really interesting times of opportunities and challenges we all are going through. And whatever we are going through, we will grow through. So all of you, my urge is also that we need to be tech savvy. We need to understand social media well, how to market things on social media more efficiently in times to come. All that will matter. And with that, a lot of traditional knowledge of ours will matter more. For example, now we are working on some products which are blend of modern science and ancient Ayurveda knowledge. And in a minute, I'm going to actually show you some of the products which we are actually working on and designing as more futuristic products as well. And that's where, and these are the trends which are getting merged. So as people who are keen to work and explore area of food industry, food processing, or hotel, restaurants, or food services, these are some things definitely we should keep it in mind for businesses to be long lasting and efficient with the current times. Any questions also anyone have, or people can ask any particular aspect if they wish to know. I'll be more than happy to answer that as well.
So your audio is mute.
Yeah, I was talking. I'm just getting the samples arranged. Tell me.
Yeah, there is one question in the chat.
Okay.
If somebody is selling organic food, does certification is required? If yes, which is a specific certificate you need to take?
Uh, if it's a processed and packed product, now actually FSSAI, Government of India itself have entire procedure to have certification for organic food. If it's farm, there are many private players and also government like SGS or TUV who certify organic farms. I started organic farming at such 5-6 years back, and it takes around 3 years to certify a farm. Since the day you start working on the farm and you apply to make it certified organic farm, they come every year, they do audits, and we have to maintain certain records, and that's how the farm certification happens. As far as the food product certification, entire backend logistics supply chain needs to be certified by FSSAI. So your source, your processing, your process lines, everything. If there are any other products which you are processing in that, if they are not organic or things like that. So I see some more.
Yeah, one more question.
What is the future of frozen foods in comparison to hydrated foods or other dehydrated foods?
So yes, it's a interesting and I think question coming from someone who is observing industry well. So a lot of these kappa products are dehydrated kind in a way. If you just have a ideology of that I'll do farming and I'll dry fruits and I'll dry vegetables and I'll sell as ingredients to companies, that is very competitive and very difficult market. If products are value added, dehydrated, just a sec. If the products are dehydrated and value added, like they are blends of something and it's easy to rehydrate, uh, it's there is a lot of future in that. So finally, very important thing, and one of the biggest learning of mine in industry is we need to work customer driven. So what is an experience customer gets from our product is going to be crucial. That will make that business viable or not. So for example, like I said, these kappa products dehydrated have a product which is close to the real-time product. People will appreciate the convenience, people will appreciate the taste, and they'll buy. But if it is not, they will not. And a lot of people are also with the mindset that there are these solar dryers in market and let's buy that and there is no energy required and let's dry food with the solar power and then let's sell it. But rehydration qualities are sometimes very poor and these projects miserably fail. I have seen a lot of projects at least failing miserably because the product does not get competed with other good quality dehydrated products. Or for example, frozen food, if you take, it's no parallel to the dehydrated food industry. The reason is logistics is completely different. You need frozen chain, frozen logistics, and frozen chambers in the retail stores to sell those products. Frozen technology also happens to be a little expensive, and if time and temperature of freezing is not maintained correctly, there are a lot of possibilities to have food which is unsafe for consumption. So we carry different type of risks, and there are different types of markets also. For example, in frozen food, nutritional values of food will be retained in a much better way. The textures will be retained in much better way, and the applications will be also very different for frozen food. And from my perspective in the industry, both technologies have very good future in domestic as well as international market. So till now we've been working on masalas, achar, wet products like pastes. We sell a lot of tikka paste and tandoori paste and stuff like that in global market. And many Indian blends, if are done in a right way, the Europeans and Western market loves it. So there is huge potential for powdered masalas or pastes, or like you all know, one of the biggest trendsetters is also our snack food industry, the farsan and other things, which brands like Haldiram and many other have become very big in global markets too. So if you ask me any Indian traditional food, and that's where the real opportunity lies, friends, I feel, if presented well, packed well, processed well, with good nutritional intact value, I think there is huge potential. You all know how big Moringa business is becoming now. Moringa is superfood now, and Moringa has been consumed in India for ages. Almost every South Indian home at least consumes Moringa every day. Or there are many other products like Rajgira apan jo khato. It's a superfood actually, global superfood today, amaranth. And we never focused on it. So these are some amazing merging trends, and the future looks to me more and more on those lines. Here are my products, and I quickly want to show Milinji with your permission.
Of course, sir. Of course, sir.
So see, something which we converted into product, our traditional knowledge into a packed product. अपन हल्दीचं दूध, हल्दी का दूध बोलते हैं हम इसको. We just converted it into turmeric latte. We are the first company, in fact, to conceptualize this after understanding that the global cafes are selling this golden milk, and which is actually our turmeric milk. So it's a great blend of Indian herbs, spices, and doing great even in the corona time, because it really helps immunity, to build your immunity. It has black pepper also, and black pepper and turmeric has very specific effect to build on our immunity. I want to show you some product which is also very apt to where the current issues we are going through. This is Suhana Wellness Sip, and you can read this health written in gold there, because this is an entire range of products which Suhana is trying to come in health category. So it's like a kadha premix. So it's a kadha premix of selected spices to help boost your immunity. And it has again blend of some herbs, modern herbs, Ayurvedic herbs, and masalas, and very delicious and easy to make product. These are the some products I'm showing you, which then we converted, as I told you, that the copper products. Okay, now for frozen and dehydrated, one more answer is here, that these are lighter in weight, easy to carry, so travel friendly. Frozen food, you cannot do that, so it's very difficult. But frozen food through logistics, if you export, yes, it is. There is a market outside India. A lot of Indians prefer to buy frozen foods, and it's easy to make it at home for them, and it's as close to as natural. And both the products fortunately do not have any preservatives, so it's healthy and normal to have. Kappu poha, I'm really happy, and this is no onion, no garlic, but we also have with onion kappu poha. I'm very happy and I'm proud that as a brand, we are able to create legacy in Indian traditional food, which I'm proud of. And I'm determined to take Indian traditional food to successfully to global food palette. And that's what I'm determined, and I'm passionate, and I am going to pursue that come what may, that I'll make a point that our food stands worldwide as one of the best cuisine. And that's what my brand and myself I'm determined about. There is one more product I want to show you, which is also or like a naturally processed jaggery. This is also picking up very fast. And now we are planning to make jaggery cubes, jaggery powder, and stuff like that. So I just wanted to show some of the products for all to just get some glimpse that where the industry is moving to. And there is a lot of future is also in a lot of partnering. So it's not about we creating everything and working, but healthy partnering happens. Like for me, we've been partnering with many institutes, including your AISSMS Institute. And I believe in that. And I have believed always that the right partnering will give right success and create right success stories. So to you all, young entrepreneurs listening to me, future, think big, think broad-mindedly, keep experimenting, and really, really don't worry uh, for failing. I mean, it's one of the step towards success. I personally feel failing is one of the step, and it's perfectly fine. But end of the day, you will be happy that you have been taking a lot of efforts to create a lot of interesting things, and you kept experimenting. Somehow, uh, somehow the eternity universe will work, seeing your success, seeing your efforts for your success. It will work definitely. Thank you.
I have a question in this connection.
Yeah.
We all know that the food processing industry has great future in the entire world.
Yeah.
But it is completely different in the Western part of the world and in Indian part of the world.
Right.
What do you think whether the Indian market is matured for it, number one? And number two, what customization do you require in this food processing industry for in the Indian market?
What customers?
What customization of food processing industry should happen? Like we cannot just follow the food processing that happens in the US or the UK.
Right.
So how do you customize it for the Indian customers?
Yeah. So I can give you a quick examples right away. Having Indian masala flavored makhana is a completely twisted cheddar cheese flavored potato chip story to an Indian context. So that's how one needs to definitely modify their own ways and means to Indian context. Or having baked beans or porridge every morning. I don't mind to have this breakfast every morning, and that's a twist and turn of a very Western technology to uh, the little Indianness and a simplicity also. Plus, I personally feel more than that, there is value proposition which Indian customers definitely expects to have through the products industry delivers. So it has to have a right value for money. People choose selectively here. People prefer to have freshness over packed food in India. People prefer to have good taste over average taste in India. And I personally feel we and our sensory palettes and experiences are highly evolved, and we don't like plain simple food always, but we don't mind to have tasty healthy food in times to come. So there are a lot of these changes definitely happening. Also, science has revealed many interesting facts about interesting ingredients worldwide, and globalization has allowed those ingredients to be part of every market and every country. So it's up to us how to use right ingredients finally to create great blends for India. And also in that, I can't say that there is a very easy science to it, but it needs to be gained with experience and play around that. So let's say around 200 products we do today, we must have created more than 250 or 300 products, and some we realized that they are not supposed to be part of the market. So we had to not continue that, and whatever is doing well, we want to continue and then work more and more on that. So that will happen always. And nowhere, your question is very actually valid and correct, that it's not really going to be exactly the case what it is in Europe and what it is in US. So, or Western countries. India will react very differently. Indian consumers will react very differently to food products.
Anand, I want to ask one more question. In the Western world, there are few products and there's a huge demand for those products. So if people are having cereals for breakfast, they have cereals for breakfast for years and years. They don't change that. They may change a brand, they may change a type, but the cereal will remain on their table day in, day out, 7 days,
Yeah,
347 days, whatever, 365 days.
yeah.
But in India, we are evolved to such an extent that every day we want a different thing. Does that pose a challenge in terms of the number of items? And that is why it also cuts on the volume of the business. The variety needs to be more, and volume per variety will be brought down because of this.
I feel no, because it's a very big market. You need to understand that we are extremely big market. If you ask me, whom do we compete with for just that matter, I'll tell you, we don't compete with any other brands as such. We still compete with a lot of unorganized market. It's still so big, where loose products are sold in rural parts of India, and they are still part of major food chain. So your brand producing something, let's say even couple of products also, but you're doing them right, there is still a very big opportunity in that. For example, just take this case of Kanda Lasun Masala. Story starts from 5 kilo. Today, more than actually figures will be more than 30,000 kilo per day, and it's still growing. It's still growing. So no, it's not the case. If you are in fact doing right thing and right product, more and more people will start adopting it. More and more people will have, and some classics will remain. My feeling, idli, dosa, all the South Indian, for Punekars, misal will remain forever. I mean, and I'm telling you, see, 15 varsha purvi, if there was no so much talk and trend about misal, but now you will see a lot more hashtags and lot more stories around misal. We all going on social media, and that influences many non-misal eaters to, oh wow, I want to try this because it's interesting. So that's also going to happen both ways. It's happening. So, and one more thing, cooking at home in Corona times have increased a lot. So people suddenly have started experimenting with food, and kitchen has become a laboratory more than a kitchen now, to keep trying and experimenting. That trend also will grow. I'm very sure about it. So I feel, and I do follow a lot of bloggers, lot of people do kitchen experiments and get great ideas. I think in times to come, all that will keep happening. But you're doing some products right, they will just grow. Definitely.
There is a question in the chat box. What is the process to create franchising of your product, if at all?
Yeah. So very recently we have conceptualized a retail store, which is a franchise one. It's happening on Karve Road area in Pune. It's just about to happen, which just in a very nascent stage of conceptualization. But anybody is interested to talk, I think they can get connected to talk to us on LinkedIn or somewhere, and we'll definitely give a response to that. We are not in, if the questioner may know, we are not actually in selling actual food, but we are making products and we are selling. We are not still into food or restaurant or any business like that. So nothing. But we have a big retail store which one can come and really experience, and marketed area of Pune, and which is one of the largest spices store, and really interesting one. Just a quick hint I want to give to all. What we have believed so far in our industry is, like people believe in FIFO, first in, first out. We also believe in GIGO, good quality in and good quality out. So that allies completely to our kitchens and the dishes you will create and make. The right raw material will make the biggest difference to the dish you are actually creating, along with the techniques you are using. More important also is the quality of raw material. So that's one thing one should also keep it in mind. Thank you.
So there is one more question, which is a little bit on frozen meats. What is the future of frozen meats in India? And what are the logistical challenges in cured meats, and will it sustain in the long run?
Okay, that to be honest, food industry is very vast. Dairy, fresh fruits, vegetables, frozen food, dehydrated food, processed food, uh, canned food, retort food. It's a very big range. My experience is not much in meat industry, and I'm a vegetarian, so I really I can tell one thing, that from some of the spice mixes we make, the trend is definitely growing of eating non-veg food also. But I personally feel the source and the clean sourcing will be the next big thing for any food industry to come. I can't comment much on the uh, per se any statistics on that, but
Sundar sir, if we could take some questions from the YouTube that we have.
yeah.
Children, can I just ask one question, which the staff is put up,
Which is a
which the staff members would like to know. One of the staff has put up a question. Can you hear me, sir?
yeah, I can now. Yes.
So if we may know, what has been the most satisfying moment in the business for you? You've achieved so much. You've achieved so many rewards. You've reached such at a peak of your business. So which was that moment which was the most satisfying for you?
Okay. To be honest, I don't really want to feel satisfied, because the whole purpose to drive the industry or drive myself is that keep doing more. But something which really gives a great joy is when customer writes to you or gives you feedback about the product, or tags with while eating a product somewhere in the corner of world, that we are survived because of Suhana, and it's a tasty eating tasty poha in some valleys or Alps or something. Oh, that's the best feeling we get, that the joy on customer face, and the satisfaction they get through our products. That's one of the biggest rewarding moments for me, for sure.
I'm sure. So there's one more question which is posted. When you say failures are bound to happen, how do we differentiate between a total failure and a potential new invention? Total failure and a potential new invention.
No, there is no total failure. There is only total failure in mind. If the mind is not accepting that it's a total failure, there is no total failure. You can keep doing hard work and keep moving ahead, and keep trying to achieve. And I think you will invent things rightly, and you will move ahead on the path. And if I have to consider, which is a very deep saddening feeling to me, many times a 10th failure student or 12th failure student also gets so depressed and attempts things like suicide, and they feel it's a total miserable failure. So it's just about setting the right context inside us. I personally feel the world outside us we experience is result of the world inside us, and that's more important in my personal opinion, that how we really take things.
Absolutely, sir. I think it's all in the mind.
Yeah.
So there's one more question. To what do you attribute your success?
To
what do you attribute your success to? To what traits, qualities do you attribute your success?
Oh, I think I mentioned a few before, and I just want to keep going through this journey. It's not about that it stops somewhere. It is about, if there is a deeper passion and there is a bigger purpose in life, I think it keeps driving you. And as I said, from my grandmother story and many others around, we've learned that it's okay to have certain failures. If you have this purpose and passion to achieve it, you can. So this whole Clean India movement which started, and I created the foundation called Eco Factory Foundation, which some of you might have witnessed, and I really request all of you to once come visit Yavat premises and see what all things we are trying to do in Clean India, Green India initiative. That's something, and sustainability, that's something close to my heart, and it drives me, and I will keep doing my best till the time I see our nation really clean and green, till the time I have energy to do it, and I think I'll see it one day. And what has inspired me to do that is also when we travel abroad and we find these countries so clean and nice, and that pulls us back there again and again. And I felt, if this happens here, why can't my nation be that clean and green? And if I want my nation, I need to do my premises first. So that's how I have started it from my own premises, and the journey is growing since then. So last 4 years, we have in 4 states now. As I said, trained more than 10,000 farmers, around 7,000 Pune citizens and Bombay citizens to adopt this whole concept of waste management, waste to wealth and waste to health. And it is all also connected to our food industry and everyone, because that aspect of life, no one can live there. They have house, they have office, they have industry, and premises needs to be like that. And if we all do that, then country will become clean and green.
Sir, I have a
So
question.
I
I
love
think
yeah.
you will be the right person to answer to this. When you are into a family business, there are a lot of pressures on the younger generations because they have to prove their metal. So what are these pressures and how do we overcome these pressures? You know, because you have a legacy of your family into this business. So how do you do that? How do you handle this?
No, I think, Milinji, it's a really sensitive question and a topic you have touched upon. And I personally believe that we need to have that sense of freedom, and rather than to create any pressure, just to create a supportive environment for everyone to flourish in their own ways and means. Someone wants to be an artist or do something else than a conventional business, I think one should be very open to. And fortunately, there have been great models which have got emerged globally in family businesses also, that how sometimes if the family members want to pursue something else, how can some other professional setup can be done to secure and grow business as well, and let the next generation do what they really wish to do. As far as if you ask me about how we look at our kids, me and my wife, as I said, I just want them to learn to make decisions, even if the decisions are right or wrong. We want them to know that we are with them always. And I personally feel now they're in their teenage, and in fact, there is a little trophy here which they received. They make slimes. They and they have their own little business which we have been helping, supported them, and they're doing good. Is they make these slimes which kids play nowadays, and they sell this Adi and Adya slime, and we are okay, and we are absolutely fine. They're exploring, but we just want them to build that sense of entrepreneurship in them. But later on, I'm not going to be pushy anywhere that they must join the food business or they should not. I think I want to support them in whatever they do. More important, I personally feel, is I want to play my role correct. That's my karmas. So that's really important.
So if you go on the other side of this, if somebody has joined the family business, there are a lot of students who run the restaurant their father's own.
Yeah.
In this particular situation, there would be a lot of pressures because father would have his own viewpoint and the young generation have their own viewpoint. So how do you bridge this gap?
No, sometimes there needs to be a lot of expressive and understandable communication which needs to be built between two generations, which also happens to be and I have shared and counseled few case studies like this, And I think sharing in a trustable, warm environment has helped them to bridge the gaps. If current and it all also depends on certain numbers, and how much risk one wants to take with what numbers are there. I think that a delicate line needs to be definitely built in between. So sometimes if the earlier generation is not able to express, maybe the younger generation needs to step forward and express in a proper way that what all possibilities are there, what is the changing world like, and maybe show some case studies or make them meet other entrepreneurs and discuss. There are many platforms like for example, you all are there, and some of them can actually make have a meeting on such platform with uh, you all, or show other case studies, etc. So that um, and also I personally feel that what best thing and really important thing our father did was he trusted us fully, and that gave us extreme sense of responsibility that we better perform because he trusts us and he's okay that whatever you do you're right. So we had to push our own self a lot into the right direction. And I feel if we are then doing right, I think they also understand that it's going in the right way. So
Actually, we are flooded with questions on YouTube, but I think most of the questions you have answered in the earlier
thanks.
talks.
Thank
I
you.
think Rasika, we can.
I hope it was useful. I've just shared my experience and nothing else. So
So,
Yes,
Over to you,
absolutely.
Rasika.
I would like to thank, before we conclude, some of the success mantras which are given by Mr. Choudia to the students. I'm sure they'll utilize it in their life. The mantras were utilization of time, learning is an ongoing process, and we need to upgrade ourselves all the time. His attitude towards the diversification of various products to sustain in the market. So I think these tips which were given by Sir will definitely help the budding entrepreneurs. On behalf of the management, principal, and the staff of AISSMS CHMCT, I would like to thank Mr. Anand Shoudia for being here
thank you.
and sharing his thoughts.
My pleasure to be here, and always a well-wisher and associate of this prestigious institute, and looking forward to continue the association in future also. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chef Aurora.
Hey, hi Milan, how are
How
you?
are you? I'm good, sir. How are you?
Hello, Ravish. Good to see you after a long time.
Yeah, Sonali, how are you doing? Good to see
All-
you too.
Yeah, all good.
Well, you guys doing well?
Yeah, education is doing well.
Everybody's getting it. Don't worry, the world has become a big educational field. Everybody's getting
Yes.
educated these days.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's like getting educated in something which you never thought you would get educated in.
Yeah, and especially we have to do it in such a short span in terms of technology and things like that.
I know,
But
I can't imagine that we are sitting at our comforts and talking, doing a meeting, which is something,
yes,
and
it's fantastic.
especially the guys on the field are not used to it.
Yeah,
Guys,
that's true.
we are the guys who take decisions on the move, and then we have to sit down and plan. It's pretty tough.
Yes, I know. So yesterday we had Veena Patil of Veena World, and she was saying the same thing, that we are going to rethink our business in terms of what needs to change.
That's right.
So,
That's right. It's gonna change, but it's gonna take a while. It's not gonna be.
Yes, that's true.
Hey, but good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Not at all. Our pleasure. Absolutely.
Our pleasure, sir.
Arun, we can start with this.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, everyone. Our second speaker for the day is a renowned chef and food entrepreneur, Mr. Ravish Arora, Director, InVenue Hospitality Management Private Limited, Pune. He is the founder director of the popular restaurants Polka Dots, Incognito, Baker's Basket, Oopsa Daisy, Fabiano, Iron Bar and Grill, The Pavilion, and the Pune's leading outdoor catering company. Chef Ravish is an alumni of the Oberoi School and the renowned IHM Mumbai. Chef Ravish is a hands-on chef with 30 years of experience. During his career, he has also trained at the Paul Bocuse School at Lyon, France, and the Thai Oriental School at Bangkok, Thailand. He specializes in Southeast Asian and European cuisine and excels in desert craft. Born and brought up in Dehradun, he came to Mumbai to pursue his dream of becoming a chef. His first job was at the Oberoi in New Delhi, where he honed his art of cooking and management skills. He also worked with the Hotel Blue Diamond and later the Taj Group as the executive chef and the food and beverage manager till 1919, before he turned an entrepreneur. I've been privileged to have attended a few demos of French and Southeast Asian cuisine by Chef Ravish during my college days. Thank you, sir, for being here. And now hand over the platform to Chef Ravish Arora. Thank you, sir.
Hi. Thank you for such a great introduction. It's a privilege to be here and sharing my thoughts during this time. And I do feel it's a good time to share your thoughts now than it was ever before. All that we as hospitality guys, as everybody's aware, is the most affected industry, which all of us are now kind of bearing, and every day it just makes it difficult for us to get back. However, there are obviously green shoots and the opportunities are coming by. So let me get back into what happened when the pandemic, when the lockdown started, and how unprepared we were for the entire thing, and then what we did during the lockdown, how our minds worked, and then how the mind is working now, and what we plan to do future. So I'll just divide that into 3-4 this thing, so that will probably everybody will relate with. As an entrepreneur, how do you start planning? So there are a lot of knowledge around how do you use this knowledge to your advantage is the entire thing, and put your experience in the practice. So like everybody else, 15th March is where we were actually cruising. By 10th, I still remember 10th of March was the last day when our restaurant was let's say 3/4 full. And I think it was a holy day or some 10th of March. And subsequently to that, the drop started happening. And you were always thinking, yes, something is happening, but you were not sure how this is all going to pan out from that perspective. But by the time 15th came, March, you were pretty aware that this is a very serious issue and it's going to have a major impact on a business. So 15th, I think all the malls shut down in Pune, and by 18th, the high street place is shut down. By 22nd, our bakery outlet shut down. By 22nd, the entire Pune actually got shut down. We had, so we were into institutional caterings. We were at Infosys. We were in multiple companies, restaurants, bakery, retails, hospitals, you name it. And every segment we were there, and every segment got hit immediately. Now, and you had to close the shop the way while you were running. Now, when you close the shop when you were running, you just, it's like fire. You just leave everything, and that's kind of a situation which kind of got evolved from that. You just put everything in your refrigerators, you just locked everything, and you kind of went with the hope, not knowing that this is beyond a 15-day affair. Now, any industry, our industry specifically, even if it is shut for 2 days, it is difficult to put your P&L at the end of the month. Now, you actually were thinking, my God, if it's shut for 15 days, what's going to happen? In any case, so the first, you just shut and you came and you started analyzing. But you were also like everybody else, you really didn't know what impact is going to have from that perspective. So our stocks, our equipment, everything was just put like that. And slowly and steadily, you realize that this is a long dawn affair. And slowly and steadily, you started thinking, now what impact? So it had its financial implication, which is obviously the major implication. Then you had your team, which was sprinkled all over. I had 392 people working for me as of on 15th of March. Now, if you shut on 15th of March with 392 people and you're in F&B, any person in the restaurant business will say you have a large inventory of people working with you from that perspective. And unfortunately or fortunately, this business, what it seemed like is not the business which, with the profitability, which generally everybody claims it to have. This business was anyway struggling since the last 2017 when the input credit was withdrawn from the hotel restaurant industry. So the profitabilities were were very, very low. And as we kept on moving, the only way you could, surpass this was only by growing. And that's exactly what we were doing. We realized very early, if you don't increase your turnover, with the meager income, slowly and steadily, the cost is gonna overrun your, the income at any. So we were growing at a pace where we needed to outpace the cost from that angle. And this is how the industry was at the time in the 15. So everybody was growing because there was no option left with this current, tax regime except to grow. Unless you were in a business where you were getting profitabilities were high, but I don't think there was any business which had a, Milind, you want to ask? No, sorry. So I don't think there was any segment of our business which was as profitable as it was earlier prior to November 17th. I remember November 15th, November 2017 is what I'm trying to say. And this is how it was. So when we got back, so 1 month was automatically into introspection. We went through our each and every expenses. So till the time we got back to offices, we realized that we had so much of expense and backlog that it was very, very difficult to really get going on that perspective. So the first thing was to cut down on the expenses, what we were carrying with us. And that's how the whole thing slowly and steadily started falling in. And then we picked up each and every expense and see where all we could save and where we should have saved earlier also. But when you're running, you don't have time to, in our industry especially, you don't have a time to sit back and think that I'm going wrong here, because this industry is very dynamic. It just keeps pushing you all the time. And you want to, if you're into an F&B segment of a certain kind, you're always running. You always want to outdo the other. You always want to be better than the other. You don't want to lose out to anybody in this industry, because that's the only way to survive. And you don't get time to think back. So that gave us a time to really think back where we were going wrong, where I went wrong in taking decisions. So that was a great introspection time, at least till the March, I think 6th March, we all got back to the offices. And till that time, we had a certain specific plan in our mind. How do we go? Now, you were obviously working with no social distancing norm. We know how our kitchens worked before. We know how clean our kitchens were before, and how much, though we were very particular, but still there were certain things which one would overlook at a certain point of time. Then the entire thing started dawning into it. So the first thing was to put your facility into a certain production. Now, we were lucky there. Now, fortunately for us, unlike most of the restaurateurs, which I have a great empathy, and these days, we feel a lot for each other. We fortunately had our commissary and a central kitchen. Now, that automatically was not under a preview of a lockdown or from that perspective. Now, that gave us a base to sit down and start planning. So my whole central kitchen, we kind of revamped. We had obviously had tons of stocks which went expired, by the time April, May came in, because you generally carry 3 months inventory, and most of the food material has a 3-month stock, or, we probably had some 30-40 lakhs of stock which had expired, which had to be, thrown away from that perspective. So we revamped our entire facility. we made it into some kind of a social distancing operations, split the team. So like everybody else, most of the migrant labor had left. So automatically from 392, we were probably left with 170 or 180 odd people. Out of that today, I think we are working with 125 staff is back on the job with us from that perspective. At obviously little subsidized salaries and from that perspective. So we had to rework our entire operations. We did all that social distancing norm. We did cleaning up. We did, put the entire process of sanitization. We put the entire process of, disinfecting the property twice, thrice a day. All that happened. Now that's something which again it dawned that it comes at a cost. Now this is which most of the people will realize as the restaurants will also open. Everybody is very enthusiastic in starting these restaurants, but they will soon realize that all this is coming at a great cost. We soon realize that a cost when you have no income and you have a daily cost of even 1,000, 1,500 per day on hygiene and sanitization, which was not there earlier, it works out to be 45 to 50,000 rupees, which is phenomenal at a certain point of time. So hygiene, this automatically is a major concern. So we put our entire facility, then we sat down and said, what is that will work? Now, fortunately, we have various verticals for us. So, we're lucky there. We had retail in terms of bakery and confectionery. We obviously had caterings, we had restaurants, we had takeaways, we were doing from a central kitchen. So everything was operated from the central kitchen. Now we knew that the retail, obviously everybody is aware that the retail has done well in last 3-4 months, that everybody is looking at, retail has really done well for everybody from that angle. So we knew from the day one that our bakery segment, no matter what, even it was with 10%, 20, 30% sale, is the one which will take off immediately. So we focused on it and we opened most of our stores after negotiating with the landlords, of course. So I'll come to that in a bit, because everybody must be knowing how the landlords are. It's a major discussion on the print media and news and everywhere else from that angle. So we got our stores started in some way or the other, but we got most of the stores started. It started slow and it kind of slowly and steadily picked up from that perspective. And we soon realized the pent-up demand initially when we started in the May 18th, I think we restarted. I think by 1st of June, the pent-up demand was pretty high. And we knew that we need to capitalize this entire time period. And I also knew that till 15th of June, before everybody gets in, we were pretty off the block pretty fast. I mean, I know that from that perspective. And the sales obviously went pretty good. So we clocked nearly 32. I was expecting 30% sale, 10% sale, and we clocked 30 to 40% of our turnover in just about no time as far as the bakery went. And we started getting confident. And then we started our our main kitchen, and we started delivery from there. And sooner and slowly and steadily, the entire thing caught on brilliantly well from that angle. When I say brilliantly well, I'm talking from zero. So if I was on 100, for me, even 20 is brilliant, because the whole idea is to survive. Like everybody, all big guys, including Mr. Tata's and everybody says, 2020, if you survive, you're on. And that is the philosophy we are working on. If I was into a manufacturing industry, like Mr. Choudia was earlier, or into some kind of ready-to-eat food and those kind of thing, probably I would have been we had some vertical which were working. For us, we were on ground zero, and we were on ground zero for a long, long time. So for us, from 0 to 20 today is also brilliant, because that gives you oxygen to start breathing and oxygen to start going forward. If you have then the, your inner energy and capacity, and you have a team. So I generally believe this pandemic for people like us will be only based on our survival, will be on our team, on our infrastructure, and on our experience. Now, if you are able to put all these three together, you'll be able to survive. Now, automatically, all this has a major financial implication. How will you do that? Now, landlords and your other expenses which are there, now you have to face them, because there is no other option for you except to face them. And coming back to this rental thing which I said in between, so most of the landlords have been very, very nice, let me tell you. Unfortunately or fortunately, what has been debated in the so I have around 21 properties which I'm on rental, including stores and hospital and restaurants and everywhere else. So 21 landlords is not easy to handle. So if out of 21 landlords, if 2 are being very adamant, I think 19 have been extremely, extremely helpful and good. So there is a little hope there as far as that situation comes from your angle. But it's your individual rapport. And like the Shoudia said, it's your karma. If you have done well in last 50, so we've been on for 20 years. If I maintain good relationship with my team, with my vendors, with my people, with the people I'm associated with in terms of business, I think every person, every vendor is standing up for you. I mean, they might have their reason because they have no option left but to stand with you. But then you can make out they're there with you because they have also been made good business with you. They trust you. They want to be with you. And so there is enough confidence there in people. But you have to, so your past is going to catch up in this situation now. That is 100% sure. If you've done good work, if you worked hard and you have got a good goodwill, and you are able to face, so financially everybody is down, okay, so you're 10 feet under the ground financially as far as all this goes. But if you have done good, so everybody's on that level as far as finance goes. So if somebody has done well and he's got some alternate businesses and he's fairly financial, but I'm talking of F&B business per se, just the business per se, not what person's background or this is. So every business is down by 10 feet under the ground. So that playing condition level is the same for everybody. Now, how do you survive? You have to survive because we guys don't know anything else except to cook food, except to make food, except to serve food, and except to do that. So far, this is out. So now the experience of past is coming to our hand. So if you worked hard, you created something. Now, how do you take this forward is where the entire game is happening for us from that perspective. So like I said, so coming back to, so retail is something which we are going to grow, and that is where the future will be. And that is where one should focus, albeit not in the same growth trajectory, but it will grow as far as the retail goes. So we have a certain plans in terms of growth. We have decided that every per square of our stores which we have has to be profitable. Or earlier we would have probably 50% of the stores not used. We just put some counters and some breads and bakery products and leave the half the store empty. Today we want to use every square foot of a store by selling some retail products, by doing some different, by selling something else. So we might just get into selling a lot of retail gourmet products. We are making our own, some Thai curry paste. We're going to do all these things and put everything up for sale. So make it from a normal bakery store into a retail store to a daily store. So this is the trajectory is what is required to be done, which obviously earlier we were not thinking, we were not even bothered about it from that perspective. So retail is going to grow from that angle for us. The second option, obviously, like I said, your infrastructure, your team, and your experience comes in handy. So we've realized this retail market, food market, ready-to-eat food market, your beverage market, all these markets are huge, and they're going to keep growing from that. People have got hooked on, even if when the pandemic goes away, some residual effect of it will stay. Now, that residual effect is huge effect from that angle. So if ready-to-eat food was, let's say, 20-25% earlier, now it's going to go to 35%. Now, 35% in 30-40 crore people in our country is a huge number to be catering to. And if you're good and you know exactly what is heading for, then you see great success. So that is another vertical that we have now kind of created. We've been working on it for last 3-4 months. We've been, so we're not in a hurry. I see a lot of people just doing it, because they feel this is how it is should be. And I tell everybody, and this is what it is, do a due diligence on all these stuff. Everybody wants to do something very, very, very fast. And that if you do it fast, there are chances of your failure are going to be much higher. So like they say in Japan, plan for 9 months and execute in 1 month, rather than planning like in India for 1 month and execute for another 9 months is not what you should be doing. You spend a lot of time planning, and get the right product. And there is enough market out there to lap it up, provided you are able to make a great product with great packaging, great branding. There are tons of product if you go on the shelf. So like everybody else, I've been to supermarket. I never been to supermarket before in my life so often. I've been there. I spent hours standing in the supermarkets, and I'm trying to see what products are being picked up off the shelf, not picked up off the shelf, go back, see what we are producing, not producing, how we can produce. So that is one thing. Then the manpower is obviously another thing. Look at machines, different machines, get which are labor saving machines, which help you produce all these things. Packaging. I'm so much, I understand about packaging so much now. What probably if you would ask me 15 March, I probably would have just known 5%. Today, I probably know 40% of how a packaging industry works, how the food is packed, how much it costs to retort one pack, what is the cost of this pack, that pack. Every possible subject you can think about is known to me today. So this is what pandemic has done to us. I'm not thinking today how much catering is there tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow. I have a catering for 1,000 people after a few days, or this, my staff is not there, my chef is going to go on leave, now how I'm going to replace. So I do not think on all those terms anymore. And I do not wish to think at this point of time, all these things. This is the time where you really need to reinvent yourself and see how the future is. Because the restaurant business, no matter what you say, it might come back. So that's a dark, we don't know what the future is all about, but we know it's going to be tough. We know it's going to really push you to the hill. And with the earnings which are there in the restaurant business and the bar and the competition which is there in this business, there is always going to be very difficult to really, get back into this business. So it is better that you have an alternate shoot. And pandemics have already, this is decided that our business, we always thought it can never stop. We say, no matter what happens, our business will never stop. At least one segment. My catering could stop, my restaurants could stop. I have a coffee shop in a hospital. I thought that will never stop. Everything came to a grinding halt. So that gives you a chance to think, now think something, what else can never come to a grinding halt. So retail food, people will eat, they need to eat. Even if there's a pandemic, your next door store will operate. Your supermarkets will operate. Your dairy product will operate. So you have to now get into that segment now, at least in small way, so that when the next time, if ever this thing happens, I pray it never happens again. But even if it happens, you have at least something where you can depend and you are able to pull this through from that angle. So this is how I am viewing this entire thing from that perspective. Catering is another segment, which is obviously we were big in caterings and we were doing some great caterings. So automatically it will take time. So it is another segment which is hit badly. But I do feel it's not going to go off from that angle, but it will be hit pretty bad from that angle. So I do see some bookings coming now for December, Jan. So that gives me a hope that people are far more optimistic than us, that they feel by December, January, this all will go away and they can have their party. So so that makes us more happy from that angle. So this is how the whole thing is being played out by us, and we're hoping something good keeps coming in. But it's very exciting, very tough. Keeping your team motivated with the half the salaries or less salaries. It's been 6 months. It's not easy. You have to be on the shop floor. You have to connect with your customer. So like every person, when you start growing, you don't connect with your guest customers. We also did the same thing. So last 3-4 months, we activated, we got in touch with all our old customers. We said, hey, we are alive. You need something, we're there to help you. We are doing home deliveries. We've created our own home delivery system. So all entire banqueting team, which was there of ours, how do I put them to use? So we created a fleet of home delivery process for ourselves within our company. So we are doing cake deliveries through our own team. We are doing food deliveries through our team. So everybody's managed to keeping afloat. And we are hoping that there are some good shoots in the economy and things cool off. And unfortunately, we are in Pune, which is the worst hit. We love being leaders in all possible things. So Pune has again proven itself to be a leader. From that perspective, at least the world has got an eye on Pune. So I'm very happy that the whole world is watching Pune, how Pune is doing. Earlier, we were in a very different thought process. So things hopefully should get better from that angle. So this is what is my take in this entire pandemic from. So if you have any questions, I can answer.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, hi.
So there's a question. What is the best way to get customers' trust when you start a new business?
So, number one, you have to do your good market research before you are doing a new product. So when you say new product, I assume that you're talking about a new product in terms of retail, or you're talking in terms of restaurant business, or are you talking, because accordingly, one can respond on that subject. But if you're talking about a retail product per se, which will be off the shelf in the supermarket, it's tough. There are thousands and thousands of products which are lying there on the market. So you have to start locally. You have to start with the people whom you know. You have to start with the client base who trust you. Once you get a proper feedback and a response from these people, that's exactly what I'm saying. There is no hurry in this matter. You have to take your time. Every product will take its time for incubate and go forward from that angle. It's not going to be in a hurry. So trust, make a product, do your due diligence onto it, and serve locally first before you go, pan India or to other states from that angle. Once you are successfully, when you are get your feedback from the local community or the people who you are dealing with so far, and you get a positive response, that's the time you really need to go forward. And obviously there are the various tools which help you and guide you whether you're on the track or not on these matters. But you have to really do a due diligence before you do a product line. I mean, I get tons of thought process and inquiries. Why don't you make gravies? Why don't you do this? Why don't you make this? Why don't you do ginger garlic paste? Why don't you do ready to eat food? So there are tons of things, and you go in the market, every second person is, and they are big players, let me tell you. There are big players and there are players you really, so you have to, but that still doesn't mean that there is no, and rather than try. So I meet a lot of youngsters and people who are, doing their own startup these days, and they have visions of going nationally or, in other cities at one time. And I keep telling them the faster once. Sorry, on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Can't hear you. 1 second. Give me a second, please. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
My audio is gone. 1 second. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Sir, we can hear you, sir. Can you hear us?
Okay, I am not able to get the audio, your audio. I'm sure you're able to hear me out. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
yes, we
Hopefully
can.
by then, I think it should self-resolve the entire thing. So the journey from a hotelier to has been pretty exciting. So like, I started my career at the Bombay Kitchen College and went to the Oberoi School. I did the kitchen training program. I passed out as a chef. I worked with the Delhi Oberois and I worked with the Bombay Oberois. And then I made a subsequent switch to Pune. And that's where I joined as the executive chef. Then I became the F&B. Then I used to help manage the hotel. And that's the time. Now, basically, I did belong to a business family. So that some streak was always there in me to, test myself and they always say if you don't like your boss, become your own boss. So that was also so what I did was I made my boss as my partner, so that solved that problem, got sorted out at that point of time from that perspective. And that's how the journey started. In 2000 we decided, when the Taj bought over the uh, Blue Diamond, and we worked there for a while, we realized that we were just being a small, fish in this entire, big sea, and I didn't want to do that. And I always thought that I could do something different with myself, and I wanted to really test that out. So quit Taj, and that's how we kind of started. Now, being a chef always helps. I always say there are two ways you can make a success in the F&B. From the either you're a great finance guy, which you've seen, from that perspective, or you're a chef. Because if you're a chef, you're always on top of your things. No matter what happens, things are always in your control. And otherwise, if you're an F&B business, no matter what happens, chef still stays in control and is controlling everything what you are doing from that perspective. Now, fortunately, being a chef helped a lot to me from that perspective. And it's a major transformation which happened in life. So we just thought you make food and you put it up and people will buy and you will make money at the end of the day. So you go through a great learning curve from that perspective. We realized that the first year we did phenomenal business and we lost a lot of money from that angle. And automatically then a lot of introspection happened from that perspective. And slowly you start learning the various things, right from procurement to, so all these things when you are a chef or a senior most chef. But practically, when the money goes out of your pocket and when you are responsible for survival, you think very differently from that angle. So this is how the whole journey started from that angle. And we always thought that our first restaurant should be our own property, because we knew that if you are on a rented property, you will be moving every second or third year out of that property. So we always had a plan in a way that we'll operate out of central kitchen, and we will do our own property. So these were the philosophies we operated with. But it made you grow as a human being, as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a decision maker, as a person responsible for your team. I always thought a hotelier is a make-believe world. It's a very protective environment if you're working in a big hotels, because all the processes and systems are set. You just need to follow them. It's only you, if you can fight the system and you have great ideas, will you succeed. But most of the people find it very difficult. The real world is outside. That's where the street fighting is happening. And you need to be on the street to get this going from that end. Like they say, you have to be battle hardened. And we are all very battle hardened people in last 20 years. We've seen it all. We've seen the worst of income tax. We've seen worst of GSTs. We've seen worst of labor laws, worst of cops, worst of excise department, good side of all this thing. We've fought it all. And you have to take it on the chin and you have to go forward. You have to be responsible for your bad decisions. We made some bad decisions on the way. We made some good decisions on the way. And so it makes you strong at every step, and you have to go forward like we're doing now. We're not sitting back and crying, oh, this is very tough, or it's gonna put us down. We said no, We have our timelines and plans, and we're working on it. And hopefully, if things work for us and we feel you're honest to your work, you're sincere to your work, the chances are you will survive. So all these things do come into you as from a hotelier. When you become an entrepreneur, they come to you. They become part of your personalities, and you find decision making pretty easier onto it. But you have to be very open to new ideas from that perspective. Now the issue is obviously how do you get so we are all at an age where we're not so technologically, connected or advanced as probably a 30-year-old guys or 28-year-old guys. So the whole journey now, how do you have a team which is young, so you have to adapt to their thinking, you have to adapt to the way they get technology into your daily operations, and so it's pretty interesting from that angle. And I do feel the future belongs to youngsters. We only have to give a lot of experience, put our experience and guide them onto it. It's tough. They find things easier than what we found. I do believe what we have created, the same thing will not be able to, nobody will be, my team themselves say, sir, if you have to start all over zero, we'll not be able to create what we created now. So I said, see, the opportunities come again now to us. We are again at ground zero. Now we need to start all over again. But now, automatically, fortunately, we have an infrastructure which is helping us. Like I said, our central kitchen, boon to us. It is helping us connect and reboot very, very fast and very, very quickly. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. So we can hear you.
Hello. So this is where now the change is happening for us from perspective. We are. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
sir, we
can.
can.
Yes. Yes.
My video seems to be little. So the journey is very exciting. From that I mean, the changeover has been brilliant. No regrets so far. From that perspective, we do hope all this experience and this for so many years is going to come to our handy and help us through this tough times too.
So can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yes. So there's a question which is posted. Which type of food do you prefer to serve in your restaurant? She's asking traditional or Western.
Okay. Well, all our restaurants are world cuisine restaurant. So we've been doing all kind of foods. My personal preference is, already I've mentioned, is Asian food from that angle. But I do believe that the Asian food is one which will be the front runner in times to come. If I have to really answer that question in a different perspective altogether, the Asian food is the one to go forward from that angle, is where one should focus, and automatically Indian comes second, and then obviously the Western food comes in third perspective. Though I started with the prospect of doing Western number one, and then the Indian, then the Asian, but I think it's switched over now over a period of years.
So there's one more question which I would like to ask you. It says, what extra licenses are required to move from restaurant to retail?
Okay.
And you could just explain the concept of a cloud kitchen.
Okay. So two different questions from that angle. So for doing retail, you don't need specific licenses from that angle. You need various processes to be completed before you do that. So we are in a private limited company. So all possible license in terms of food license, shop, we are in a factory, so factory license, your various other normal government licenses are required, labor license, all that is required. Only thing what you really need is you need to get your food in a proper perspective. There are tons of laws which are there. So there is an agency called Nafari in Pune. So I do check with them on that perspective. You just have to ensure that the proper documentation and the processes are there to follow when you start packaging food from that angle. So you have to lab test your food. You got to keep records of those food. You really need to get your labeling sorted out. You should know exactly what is to be done. You must know technical know-how of all the preservatives and stabilizers and taste enhancers. You must have a knowledge of all these. You don't need specific licenses to use them. You must know exactly how you want to pack your food from that angle. But basically, it's the food license only what you really need from that angle. There is no other specific license if you really need to produce something and put it on the shelf. So basic food production licensing or processing license, whatever is required from the FDA is what you really need, is what my understanding is, unless I am misinformed on that subject, but this is what I understand. Secondly, your second question on the cloud kitchen. So concept of cloud kitchen, everybody knows that it's a kitchen which has no restaurant connected with it. It's something where you produce and you meet your customers or you supply to your customers directly. They are approached to you through the online ordering platform that is called the cloud, whatever, and you produce the food. You put your menu online on one of these aggregators or your own on site, and you have a place to produce food, and you pack it neatly and you supply to him. So that's the concept of cloud kitchen. So it's a very generic thing. And this is something I always thought, we started in 2000, 20 years back, our cloud kitchen, because that's exactly what we did. As the time has come forward, now it has been renamed into cloud kitchen, ghost kitchens, and the further, they have fine-tuned and gave these fancy new terms and technology been used to it. But we've been doing this all this while in our lives from 20 years. So it's very easy for us to do. So I have multiple cloud kitchens operating. So somebody says there's a demand for continental, so we created one continental cloud kitchen. Somebody says Indian, so we created Indian. So we have multiple cloud kitchens, multiple restaurants, multiple catering. Everything comes under a cloud kitchen concept from that angle. It's up to you how you want to give a definition to it, but broadly, it generally means that you're producing and meeting your customer directly rather than anywhere else. And there is no place, there is no physical place for you to sell, is what a basic cloud kitchen is from that angle.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yeah.
As and when the restaurant industry is allowed to open and when the unlocking starts, so what are the challenges ahead? What changes you foresee which are going to happen in the service style or probably in interacting with the customers or in the operations?
Right. So number one, the basic change will be that the customer is gonna be full of anxiety. So that's the first thing you really need to come to. So you have to create an environment into your restaurant whereby the customer who walks in doesn't have an anxiety. Now, anxiety obviously means if he sees a full restaurant, which we all want to have, okay, he's gonna find it difficult to enter your restaurant. And that is where the major challenge is happening. What is the silver lining in this entire thing? That if you have an open spaces outside, now it is proven in the Western world and everywhere else, and in India also, wherever the restaurants have opened. I mean, I have a friend in Hyderabad I spoke to, and he has an open air restaurant, and he's done some phenomenal numbers from without alcohol, of course. So the open spaces, the restaurants which have open spaces are the ones which are likely to be off the block first, then the restaurant which have an AC or enclosed spaces from that angle. Now, this is where I also feel the local authorities like the Western world. Now it is like obviously expecting a moon from our authorities. We've seen the past how our representations have all been stonewalled by the the agencies from that perspective. but they have to be proactive and allow the open area. If they want the pandemic to stay controlled and not blame the restaurant line for increasing the number of infections and cases, they have to allow the open areas wherever side margins in the restaurant automatically. I mean, they have to follow the norms. I'm not saying break the norm. And restaurants, some of the restaurants are notorious for, not following the norms. And the moment they get an inch, they'll catch your hand from that angle. So the open air spaces where they should allow, and that is where the silver lining will come to our business. If you walk into a place which is an open air, the chances that places will do better than this thing. So that's one part of the story. Second part of the story is obviously your staff training, the distance you're gonna be maintaining with this thing, the how you clean your environment is, how you have done up your restaurant, how you are social distancing everybody. So you have to take a hit as far as that goes. Then automatically use of technology, which everybody is claiming today to be, your contactless dining, you pre-book your tables, and then you have, temperature of the server, and your temperature of the chef who's making. So these are all some way or the other, they're important. But I see it all started like this around 3 months back. We used to get the parcels which would say home deliveries. I'm sure you've experienced this, where would say the temperature of the chef, the temperature of the person packing, then the temperature. I think they have slowly or the other, they have weighed off now. I think 50% of the restaurants have stopped using it from that angle. So it's your hygiene, your cleanliness, your past, your experience with you of the client over the last 6 months, 6 years or 5 years is what will get the crowd in. But you have to follow the basic norms which is there. Social distancing is a must. So the restaurants will start with 50% of the, even if government allows you 100%, let me tell you, your restaurant will still operate with 50% or less than 50% of it. It is how you're able, your staff uniform, how clean they are, how well they present themselves, and the basic small checks and balances you put onto while doing services, how you put sanitizing sachets, where you ask a customer how you keep your washroom. Now everybody will, the washroom is one of the key areas where every restaurant is the most important thing. Now that's where you really need to invest. How one is going to be, how you allow minimum people to go in, come out, monitor. There are tons of things which needs to be done. So all this will change. Food will definitely should become expensive is what I feel. Now you have to cover up all these things. The only way you cover up all these things is by increasing the cost. The time for discounting, deep discounting is over. Whoever can give deep discounting or does deep discounting, God bless him from that perspective. I mean, he must have a great amount of money in his pocket, but he's not doing justice to his business from that perspective. And so you have to increase the cost of your food. You have to minimize your team. You have to train your team to be far more efficient than they were. And you really need to do health checks, and so you have to put that across to a guest also, that your team has a health check and you're doing that often. And so the minimum anxiety a customer has coming to your place is where your success will be. So the whole effort is, how do you make him comfortable when he sits down to you, with the environment, with music, with whatever you do from that perspective, the way you present your food. I do feel the sharing food, Indians, obviously, most of the Indian food is all sharing. How that will pan out is something, but you don't. So you will obviously initially, nobody's going to come with friends so often. Families don't mind sharing, but then they'll be all wary. So it is better that I do feel pre-plated or those combo meals will come up for some time, for a short period of time, then the pandemic reduces. And then they will come back to its original way of sharing as the confidence comes to any place from that angle. Also, all the restaurants must have a protocol. What happens if you have a case of infection into your restaurant? How do you deal with it in terms of, because social media can blow you out in 2 days. If somebody just puts a small post, I went and dined there, and after 2 days, I was tested positive. So there'll be various things which is going to come to you. So I think every restaurant should invest and think, how is he going to manage this challenge when it's going to come to their way? If a customer tests positive, or there is a negative review, or this thing happening on that front, how you are able to gain. Otherwise, in no time, you'll see an empty restaurant coming your way from that perspective. So this is where also everybody has to invest and see how do you get your confidence back of a customer, even if a case happens to your customer or to your staff also, because this you can't hide now from the, and you should not hide. The more you're open about it, I think more success you will see from that perspective.
Thank you, sir. So we would like to take one last question. I
Yeah.
think this is usually a dilemma for a new entrepreneur. The question is, if one is financially sound, should a
Right.
person start a restaurant of his own, or should he get a franchisee of other restaurant or other outlet?
Okay, so you need to have your own vision. Starting a restaurant means you're starting from scratch. You must believe in that concept. You should be able to grind yourself into it. You should be able to build that brand. Now, no brand gets built overnight. You can see a success overnight in terms of, you know, money coming in. You might see a success, but that doesn't mean the brand is there solid or it's this thing. So if you have a long-term vision and you're willing to grind it out and create something of your own, that's the time to put into a restaurant business. But in case you have a vision of multiplier effect and you want to take a franchisee and learn the art of managing a restaurant, then franchisee is not a bad option in a world of today. But then franchisee doesn't involve, put your 100% involvement into it, because you are still dependent on somebody else to help you out or bail you out if the situation gets bad or worse. But when you start your own restaurant, you are into it 100%. And you have no second take on the to it. Either you make a success of it or you're out of it. With franchisee, you will always have somebody else to blame for your failure or your successes from that angle. So this is why I take as far as, so franchisee is a great model. You can do multiple things, but you are sharing your revenues also with somebody, though your capex is less, but nothing better than doing your own bit. But in times of today, I think doing franchisee is a better option rather than putting your money for at least a year, 2 years from now onwards.
There are many questions, but due to time constraint, I think we would like to conclude. Milind, you have any questions, or should we?
No, Rasika, you can continue.
Thank you, sir, for giving us so many tips on sustenance mantra. I'm sure the students would utilize it. You've been a great inspiration for our students who aspire to be entrepreneurs. Since you are a known personality in Pune. On a personal note, I would like to thank you for introducing the world cuisine through polka dots, and it is one of my favorites, I must say.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a popular place, but thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure here to express myself. The way, you know, the situation is. So this is something I've just reacted to, a situation which is panning out in front of us, and that's how I'm viewing it from that angle. Nothing. It's tough, but I tell everybody, don't lose hope, but don't be over optimistic and take each day as it comes, but have a long-term plan. Things will change, and you also have to change. Every restaurateur has to change the way they have been doing their businesses from that angle. Yeah.
Sure. So we're eagerly awaiting to start, rather visit your restaurant.
Right. Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravish.
Thank you, chef. Thank you, chef.
Bye.
Thank you for a lovely session.
Welcome. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great day.